We are going to do some beginners semifinals, and then we're going to hop into an intermediate match. So how's it going, guys? Sorry I'm coming in a little hot today. No intro or anything, but we are here. We are ready. We got Octapi versus PeZ coming up. The winner of which will go on to fight Pedro in the finals, and then after that we've got Marmu and Solomon. I guess I probably shouldn't have said that for people that haven't seen it. Sorry, spoiler alert. Yeah, I think we are ready to roll whenever the players are. Good to see everybody. We got a lot of Tooth and Tail coming up this weekend as the tournament is going to come to a close. So stay tuned to the Discords for more information there. I think the plan is to do a lot of stuff on Sunday between a couple streamers, a variety of different casters, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. I hope everybody's been doing well lately. Here we go. Looks like we're getting into it. Match number 1 here. Whoops. Okay. My stream is set up right to where you guys can't see my whoops. That's good. Okay, and we are at deck selection, so let's see what these players want to bring to the table here. PeZ, a little bit more of an old school player, been around for a long time. Octapi's been here for a minute as well, but I would definitely put more in the beginner, not beginner, but like newer player bracket. Well, I guess this is the beginner final, right? So there you go. What's up, Bo? Beginner semifinal. Jeez, I am off. I'm drinking my coffee now. I apologize. Y'all know what I mean. Alright, over here on the right, we've got Octapi. Their opponent to the left, PeZ. PeZ already getting me a little hyped up for this match with the ferret balloon. Let's see if he can pull that strategy off. It can be difficult to do, but if you get away with it, it can be very impressive. So this is a pretty crowded map here as far as the Grismals go, and it's also really short, you know, so I wonder if the players might try to get into the illusion of a macro game that this map kind of presents here. It's like, hey, both players have 3 mills right there, that's awesome, but man, this is a really good opportunity to get aggressive. I mean, you're so close spawned that various timings and windows are a lot larger. Also, these players could take some sneakier bases up top. Looks like we're going to have 8 farm openings from both sides. No moles or anything. Squizzard here for PeZ, but Octapi does have the toads. Although I kind of like toads a little better to deal with tier 2, to be honest. I mean, it's always nice when you have them against the lizards. Let's see what they want to go for. Maybe some 8 farm doubles. That's always a nice and standard thing to do. Can kind of punish your opponent in certain situations if they try to get too greedy. It's nice and safe. And yeah, both players just going for the 8 farm double. That makes sense to me here. I mean, the map is so small. You really need to be on your guard about getting rushed, you know. More tier 1 from Octapi. Now, going for a third tier 1 Warren is a little bit interesting. Most of the time, players will try to get an expansion, or it looks like what PeZ wants to do here is grab a tier 2. Ferret's a little more bold. I was going to say, like, skunks would be safer. I'd maybe prefer to see the skunks as your first tier 2 here, you know, just to have some power to your army, and then kind of add those ferrets on a little bit later. But this is interesting because Octapi is going for the 4 tier 1 opening here, which it has an opportunity to punish stuff like this, especially when your tier 2 of choice is a ferret. You know, the ferret's not going to be as good in this defensive situation as like a chameleon or a skunk would be. And here comes Octapi for the attack. Gets a Warren, but loses the commander, so PeZ is going to be able to recover from this nice and neat. Like, yeah, losing the Warren does suck, but, you know, PeZ just won that fight so hard because Octapi just barely lost the commander there. And now PeZ is in a great spot. He's got the tier 2 up. He's got the ferrets, which are going to be really nice to make this lead even more devastating, to just sit back and poke a little bit. But at the same time, if you do go for that, then you might be not utilizing this tempo advantage as much as you possibly could, because yeah, this poke does suck, but it's also buying Octapi some time to get out the chameleons. Good target fire on that ferret, goes down, and Octapi is going to be able to clean this up. Well, it's actually going to be a pretty close trade here, with PeZ barely breaking through, but now that PeZ is on the production, this gets a little bit scarier here. I was going to say, maybe if you're Octapi, like, you're fine with that engagement, because you got the ferret, but, you know, PeZ is coming here, he's got a couple warrants. The cam is here, and once you get right up on top of your enemy's production in any RTS, you know, you really get them in a stranglehold there, not being able to rally back up the proper number of forces needed to really deflect the attack in time. And PeZ is sitting large here. Gonna even take the expo. The 5-minute mark is almost here, so just wants to say, hey, I feel like I've got a lead, I've dealt some good damage, I've won a couple fights, but you know what, I'm not going to put the entire game on the next attack, you know. I actually do like this. The balloon's a little much, I don't think you really need the balloon at the moment. I'd probably rather see a couple farms instead. But as long as PeZ really gets a decent amount of farms on the back side of that balloon, I think I'm fine with it. Yeah, we are just getting going. This is match 1, game 1 here. And now we see this ferret balloon poke combo, which is nice, but to really get the most out of this ferret these balloons would ideally be a little bit farther forward here. But hey, picking up some tier 1, this is good. I think Octapi's doing a good job trying to keep up in farms here. Almost gets that ferret. That is definitely one way to come back, you know. Maybe start dancing with some lizards up, or some toads up front to deny the ferret poke here. Maybe too many squirrels for that. You can kind of try, but once you get to like 12 squirrels or so, the numbers, you know, like the ferret will eventually hit a few. But I would like a few toads to kind of deflect against that. But it's not really going to matter here because PeZ realizes he's got enough. He's going to just charge right in, immediately knocking down this second base, which is a huge deal now that the rest of Octapi's income is about to mine out here. And PeZ is just going to push on through, and I don't really see Octapi getting enough back together. He's got a couple tier 2. You know, Chameleon Falcon's a great combo. It's going to be able to push back, but again, PeZ has just dealt a lot of damage. You know, knocking out that second base, taking out some Morans, taking an advantageous trade. And Octapi's really just got to commit, you know. Maybe wait for the extra couple tier 2 units and just see if you can get anything done. I like this angle, trying to not fight underneath the balloon. But the commander is going to go down. And Octapi should be tapping. There it is. And nice, clean victory there from PeZ. Okay, heading into match number 2. Let's see if either player decides with a different to use a different composition here. Pretty similar stuff. Looks like Octapi dropped the Falcons. I don't recall if he had a Badger last time. Actually, yeah. Okay, in the right, we've got PeZ. And to the top, Octapi. And again, man, with these rush distances, you know, this is a little bit more normal, but I still feel like these rush distances are very small. And you really have to factor that into how you approach the game. You know, even going for things like a fast tier 2 can be more dangerous, as we saw Octapi last round. I think that first attack was good, and it was a nice little example of counters and openings, you know, like 4 farm tier 1 versus an 8 farm double into tier 2. Now, 8 farm double into tier 2 is still, like, really safe. I would say that the 4 tier 1 Warren opening would kind of hard counters people that are a little bit greedier, you know. Sometimes players try to go for like an 8 farm single tier 1 into tier 2. I think that would be in a lot of trouble. But in general, you're kind of okay with that 8 farm double against most aggressive openings, as long as it's not pre-8 farm kind of stuff. But still, we saw Octopi do a very nice attack with the heavy tier 1 opening versus the tier 2, and that ferret, you know, not exactly the unit you really need in a clutch in a fight. I think with Skunks or Cam, maybe Octopi could have PeZ could have handled it better, but where PeZ really got the edge was when Octopi's commander went down, you know, because otherwise Octopi would have been essentially traded squirrel for squirrel, plus got the Warren there, and it's a nice spot to really continue to pressure your opponent. So we see some more 8 farm doubles here. Again, some nice safe openings. I do highly recommend opening like that while you're getting the feel for Tooth and Tail. And then back into a tier 2. This time it's Octopi going for the quick tier 2 in the form of a skunk. So Octopi is putting together a nice little push. You know, I wouldn't even hate to see a pigeon warren get thrown down, then maybe move out with like 12 squirrels, 2 skunks, 3 pigeons. You know, put on a little bit of poking pressure. I think a skunk opening is really good at that. And yeah, this map is going to be rough to expand. Octopi can kind of, you know, go this way, but even the second, I actually do like the second base the more I look at it. Like, it is on the high ground. It's awkward to attack in because of the ramp situation and water right there. And meanwhile, PeZ can expand down and actually have access to a lot of grist mills. Like, this is a little bit far away from the main, but once you kind of control that island of money down there, you're good to go. And since PeZ does have the lizards, that could be the case. But interesting, we see PeZ throw down a balloon on the one base that Octopi scouted. Okay, Octopi did, and I feel like they responded very correctly. Just say, okay, you know, I'll take up a mill. I'll throw down a bunch of farms on it, would be nice. And just let you play at 120 food deficit. A one base balloon can be nice if you're trying to maybe rush out to like a tier 3. You know, something like that. But really, Octopi's got to do is just not attack into here. Yeah, and I would even like to see Octopi be a little more aggressive on farming up on that second base. Go up to even 3, maybe even 4. And some more tier 2 on the way for both sides here. Now, this balloon could actually be really good if it was relocated right here, right? Because then it would protect all 3 of these bases, and it would give PeZ a nice siege point to come in with the ferrets. You know, this balloon's going to grant vision of this high ground over here, so that the ferrets would be able to just non-stop harass. And once you're tired of it, it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to attack into me? You know, maybe in that case, Octopi would come around this way, assuming, well, even if that balloon is there, the balloons aren't great unless they're being protected. I don't know why I'm getting alert sounds, but thank you. Yeah, I gotta look into that. That happened earlier. Okay, Octopi deciding to jump on in, hoping that the Cam skunk comp here will do a little bit better. Are the Cams even here? No, I'm sorry, he doesn't have the Cams yet. But he is going to push forward and just devastate this position for PeZ. Wow, that went really well for Octopi. I think there was a cam. Sorry, I was trying to figure out what that sound was, but I think there might have been cams like right when the fight started. That would probably make a little more sense. But Octopi is really committing here. This is PeZ's opportunity to maybe shoo him away. However, Octopi looks like they're looking for the killing blow. And PeZ does not have a whole lot left here. Maybe sell off the Ferret Warren, try to get out whatever you can. But I think Octopi has just got too much. Really good decision making to just kind of farm up a little bit once he saw the balloon. Get up to the Cam Skunk, a really powerful mid-game pushy kind of composition. And just come in here and run him over. Very one-sided engagement there. Octopi gonna tie things up 1-1. The cams were there until they were dead. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured after the fact. Sorry, I got distracted by something behind the scenes with my stream. I was like, wait a minute, you couldn't have ran over him that hard if you didn't have the cams out. But okay, now we got a series on our hands. I'm really glad it's 1-1. I'd love to see this go all the way to Game 5 here. Nice little adjustments to the comps. It's always cool to see players not just sticking with the same thing every game. And on the right, rocking that Fox, we've got PeZ. And to left, Octapi. Toads from both sides here. Which is also funny because they both have the cams. Like, I feel like the Toads are kind of good in two situations nowadays. One is to just power through some tier 2 units like Chameleons, especially in higher numbers later on. The Toads can get a lot of value that way. And for two is they can create engagements that aren't necessarily cost effective all the time, but might be enough to get you through to that like crippling amount of damage. You know, like sending a big attack in, you've got some Toads like hitting Warrens and stuff. You can't underestimate that crit. Here we go. Octapi getting a little fresh here with the 5-farm double lizard. And it is scouted. So let's see how PeZ responds. He's got squirrels. I think just going a 6-farm more, and yeah, he's even going to try to stay on 7 farms here, which he's probably okay. This is a pretty far rush distance. I think Octapi will be able to pick this corner pig off. Definitely, if he doesn't screw around, he should get there in time. Oh, he took a little bit of cabin fire on the way. That could actually make a big difference here. But, yeah. I normally like to wait for 3 lizards before coming in for the pig. But 2 would have got it done there if he didn't take the cabin hit. So, not super efficient, but nice response there from PeZ on the defense. I think losing 1 farm, especially since he got a couple lizards in the process, is not the end of the world. I think PeZ is perfectly fine here. Alright, so PeZ thought about building some Toads. That was kind of interesting, and then maybe decided, okay, I don't think he's going to keep coming in with the lizards. Held off for a moment. And let's see where they take it from here. We're kind of waiting for a player to throw down a tier 2, to throw down a gristmill. They might get caught in a little bit of tier 1 chicken. You know, after there's been aggression, a lot of times you can be tense and a little paranoid, and you're like, okay, what if they attack me again? I need units right now. And PeZ is going to grab that skunk. The skunk, not the greatest against Squizzard. However, PeZ does have the Toads here to help leverage against the reptiles. Ooh, PeZ taking an expand. Hasn't seen the campfire yet. The campfire to me normally indicates like an extended 1-base play. You know, it's a great tool if you just want a little bit of extra oomph, but don't really want to commit to expanding if you want to stay on a 1-base strategy. But I wonder what Octapi is going to think after he sees these lizards. Because, ooh, PeZ actually teched out of the skunks. That's really interesting. Because I was going to say the lizards, you're in a rough spot with Octapi. Because you're like, okay, yeah, they're going to get hurt by the Toads. However, they'll be good against the skunks. But PeZ actually adjusting to a very anti-lizard comp here. This Squirrel Toad Chameleon would deal with Squizzard very effectively. And now Octapi is trying to make a drastic transition here to 4 Falcons. I wonder if this is the answer. You might think to yourself, like, oh, well, the Falcons can hit the cams can't hit the Falcons, right? Well, the problem is if PeZ gets in there and deletes all the supporting units for the Falcons, and the squirrels are left over to just gun them down. But neither player deciding to commit to the engagement. And here's the Fox Warren, and it's in a decently hidden spot. I think if Octapi was just going to scout into the main, he'd probably see it anyways, since it's on the low ground right there. But I like the effort to hide it. And so far, Octapi hasn't seen it. And the Fox is just going to do so good against these Falcons as well. But if Octapi hits now, before the Fox Warren is done, here he goes, moving in. PeZ pulling his units back. That's typically not something you want to do here. Maybe the cams weren't in the right position. Yeah, unfortunately for PeZ to not quite micro that engagement correctly, and Octapi just slams through. No contest here, barely losing any units at all. Was going to back out for the time being. Still has a few Falcons in the air. Now, the Fox can be a good comeback mechanic. I was going to say, yeah, you need to be careful, though. Probably don't want to keep the tier 2. You know, the second base just got denied. Octapi is in a phenomenal position this game. However, Octapi doesn't really have anything that can deal with this Fox well besides just sheer numbers, right? The Fox can poke apart the army he's got. He has lizards, cams, and owls in his deck, which are all great anti-Fox solutions, but he doesn't have them here on the board. And he's just not going to give them the time of day. I think this is a good idea. And the Fox, when it spawns, oh my god, it's going to be tucked in right into this little crevice here. But it looks like PeZ is able to rally enough forces, and here's the Fox. The Fox is going to clean all this up, and I think Octapi is now in serious trouble. PeZ is on a clock. Like, he's got to deal critical damage. I probably wouldn't bring the squirrels with me, though, because he really can't afford to lose any of them. He wants his Fox to buy time for him to rebuild an army. He needs to be careful, 4 HP. Ooh, I don't think Octopi's got enough to keep committing in here, but he really wants his Fox. It got low HP. It should one-shot this Falcon. It actually targets the Toad, though. Oh, this is clutch. Really needs to get that shot on the Falcon. That's what's dealing most of the damage here. That one should get it. There it is. Backed into a corner. Is he going to have enough reinforcements to support this Fox? It looks like barely. Nice target there on the Falcon, but here comes more units from Octapi, and he's going to have to give it up. But I think Octapi can still win this. He's just got to sell off the Falcons. He needs to just build up some lizards. PeZ really needs to get some targeted shots down on those pigs, though, if he wants to have a chance at winning this. This Fox is getting him a lot of value, but it's going to become a numbers game here shortly. PeZ just doesn't have an income, and again, I think moving around with the Fox and the armies here is a bit of a mistake, and that's going to be it for the Fox. So nice effort there, trying to come back into the game, but Octapi manages to seal it out. All right, 2-1 Octapi here. He just needs one more to advance to the finals. That was a fun match. Good to see everybody. Hope y'all are doing well. It's always fun. I'm going to be back on Sunday as well to wrap up the tournament. It's going to be a good time. There's going to be a lot of Tooth and Tail on Sunday. I think it's getting started at 10 a.m. Eastern. And we plan on going for like 5 or 6 hours, so between various streamers. All right, the players making their final picks. We got Mines and Turrets this match. On the left, we've got PeZ, and opponent to the right, Octapi. I keep thinking of Octopath Traveler whenever I see that name. That was a really good game. I need to finish it. I got pretty far into it. I have this really bad habit with games to just play them until like 60 to 70% completion and stop. That's what I always do, man. I like really laser focus in on a title. Get like almost done with it, and I'm like, alright, I'm done. And then by the time you want to replay it, you're like, it's been so long, I might as well restart. And then you get like 60 to 70% into it again, and then you quit. Yeah, man, it's rough. So this is a cool map. Wow, actually, you know what? This map just got a lot cooler, because if you look closely, these trees are blocking these back expansions for PeZ. I still feel like PeZ could get out there and plant their flag far enough on the map to try to start controlling this, but these are not as free as they look. You know, PeZ would have to walk all the way back here to get to those. But I'd still be pretty happy with him if I was PeZ. I was hoping maybe there's a secret path here like that, you know, but not quite. However, this mill right here is a great natural. This one's even fine if you want to be more aggressive. I wouldn't hate to see PeZ kind of expand out this way, to be honest, since he does have the turrets. 8-farm doubles here from both sides. And Octopi, you know, this is great. You can't really be upset with that kind of spawn, right? You got a natural, a third, and a fourth. I mean, it is pretty close to your opponent's base, but it's a short map. We've got a lot of short maps this series. Yeah, Kerpa brings up the Warren spacing in chat. That is kind of interesting. Sometimes I've done stuff like that when I've had turrets to like try to stick a turret in the middle. But Octopi does not. He has the mines. And ferrets are on the way here for PeZ again. And so far these ferret openings haven't really been working out. As much as I love the ferret and love to be one of those people on the ladder using that really mean style, it is difficult to open like ferret first. Now, one thing he's got going for him on this opening is Octopi did expand, so he doesn't have a straight, you know, all investment into army right here. But the problem is going ferret first, it is basically, you know, you start poking your opponent and your opponent just calls your bluff and says, all right, you want to fight, I'll fight, and they hard engage. You know, and if they've got something like the Chameleon, they're going to have a better direct engagement than you. But I think it can be done. You just really want to make sure you're putting most of your army into tier 1, or most of your money, you know what I mean? You don't want to be doing that upon a bunch of other stuff. And having the lizards here is kind of cool, adds a bit of variety. Oh, he really wants him to hit that mine, but I think it might just be a little bit too far off. So far, PeZ doing a good job. Pressuring Octopi a little bit. Octopi not wanting to commit quite yet. He was probably waiting for that other Chameleon, which spawned pretty recently. And let's see, I mean, Octopi should just be moving in. However, Octopi has not just been building hard tier 1. Yeah, here he comes. He's coming in. The ferrets both go down immediately. And he's just going to back out. Ooh, he baits him into the mine, too. Very nicely done. And these cams are just going to clean everything up here. Yeah, and that's what's rough about that opening. You know, maybe if he had some turrets, or if he was all in with it and didn't also have an expansion behind it, you know? That way he had a little bit of a army value lead, and Octopi just smashing in here with a bunch of squirrels. And I think this is going to be all she wrote. Congratulations to Octopi for advancing to the finals. That's going to be sweet. I think he's going to play against Pedro, right? So we're going to have a Pedro versus Octopi finals on Sunday for the Beginners League. Yeah, Pedro, man. It's going to be a new school versus old school fight right there. Pedro's been around forever. Pedro's been around as long as I've been around, I think. I think I remember Pedro from, like, late 2017.